we talk to our friends is completely different from the way we talk to our parents. And that's because I believe we all realize that each and every relationship is unique and they demand unique style of communication, unique mode of communication. So I think it's true to say that we all acknowledge the power of adaptability in communication. But what about strangers? When we communicate with strangers, how do we understand their communication needs and then adapt our communication style accordingly while preserving our authentic version and clarity of thought? I believe we will learn all these from today's podcast. Welcome, everyone. This is a Pro Impact podcast series. And in Pro Impact, we believe we nurture all the nuances of impactful communication through candid conversation with industry experts. So for today's podcast, I'm your host. I'm Indranil. I'm an executive communication coach, a voiceover artist, and also a storyteller. And I'm truly excited for today's conversation with our esteemed guest today, who is a leading public speaking expert from India and also the founder of Confident Orators Hub. At the same time, he has accomplished as a great feat as a speaker of Josh Talks. So let me welcome with a round of applause our today's guest, Sushant Singhal. Welcome, Sushant. Welcome to Pro Impact Podcast. Thank you. We are honored to have you here. And so my first question to you would be, in your journey, when did you first realize the significance of adaptability in communication? Can you share a little bit about that?
And that's an excellent question to start with because that is making me nostalgic, remembering my communication and public speaking journey. So I'll tell you, 7 years back, I had my humble beginnings as a public speaker when I joined this beautiful organization called Toastmasters International. So I joined there as a speaker, delivered speeches on various topics. And one day I realized I was very confident with my words, very fluent, very eloquent. But I spoke for 7 minutes. And at the end of my speech, I could see the audience was yawning, despite of me speaking very fluently. And nobody voted for me that day. We have a culture in Toastmaster for the best speaker, but nobody voted for me because my topic was spirituality at workplace, and my audience there was college students. So I realized at that moment that it's not only speaking, it's not only fluency and eloquence, it's a speaker's ability to connect that with the audience. That's what matters. And that also, makes me remind one of my English teachers during my school life. So I must tell you, and we all have such teachers in our life. She was very fluent, very eloquent, but the moment she used to start speaking, we as a student, we were like, "Acha, ma'am, itna acha bol rahi hai, samajh ko." So we never used to pay attention to her. That's why adaptability matters.
Very beautifully articulated, Sushant. So you shared two events, one from your professional life when you firsthand experienced the need to adapt, and then you also thought about your childhood, your school days, when a teacher who was really eloquent and really articulated, but yet she lacked the connection with students. So amazing. Yeah, I think I also remember that in my school days, also even in my university days, there used to be professor who used to be really like top notch in their field, but yet when delivering lectures, they somehow lacked the connection because it was too difficult or too data driven, not enough story behind it, not enough things to connect on a personal level. So I think that's we really and think audience could also connect in their life from these stories that yes, adaptability is really necessary. So let's try to understand adaptability at a more deeper level. So is there a different dimension to adaptability? What are the things that we can adapt and how can we? Yeah, let's first discuss that, then we can address other parts. Yeah.
Sure. So when we talk about what are the things which we can adapt, so first of all, I would say that your language. A teenager would connect with a different language than a 60-year-old executive. A Gen Z might connect more with the example of today's superstar, Virat Kohli. And
Right.
someone in the age of 40 might like to get the example of Sachin Tendulkar. So the moment you understand your audience, and by understanding audience, I mean demographics and psychographics. Who are they? Where do they live? Their gender, their income status, and psychographics. Their need, interest, and desire. The moment you calibrate that, then you need to adapt your language, your examples, your way of explaining according to that. And that's how you create an impact. That's how people feel that you're talking about their pain and not here for your lecture.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. To create connect, if I understood it perfectly, you have to make your speech or your whatever you're talking about the audience.
Yes,
And you do
exactly.
that by understanding their needs.
Yes.
Got it. So demographic, age, these are some parameters by which we can guess that what probably be their needs. For example, you talked about Sachin Tendulkar versus Virat Kohli. So that we can understand by looking at the average age of the audience. That's
Yes,
one thing. How about you also talked about psychology of the audience, right?
correct.
So how can we understand that? If it's a, let's say, team meeting or a big audience is there, we cannot speak everyone on one-on-one basis, right? So how can we still understand and analyze, assess their psychological standpoint? Can you shed
Okay.
some light on that?
See, when we talk about psychology in Rundle, one is an individual psychology, the other is a collective psychology. So the
Hmm.
moment I'm talking about psychology, that means that let's say you understand the age group, and the age group is, let's say, 18 to 22. So there, when you're preparing your content, you need to ask yourself, what are the challenges which people at this age might go through?
Right.
What are the collective challenges, right? They can be individual challenges, they can be individual psychological point for Indranil and Sushant different. But
Mhm.
we as public speaking and communication coach might be
Mhm.
having some common challenges, some common thinking patterns, which can be observed in all the people from one domain or from one
Mhm.
industry.
Got
So
it.
identify that. I'll share with
Mhm.
you an example.
Mhm.
So I went to an MBA college for a guest
Mhm.
lecture one day, and the moment I
Mhm.
walked inside the room, I noticed the time. It was 3:30 p.m.
Mhm.
And I had a word with professor before going there. She said that students are going through the lectures from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. So the moment I walked inside, I started noticing the posture of people. Are they looking attentive? Are they smiling? Or are they like their shoulders are down? They're looking lethargic. And
Mhm.
I sense that since they're going through lectures from morning till afternoon,
Mhm.
naturally there is a lethargy in their body. So the moment I
True.
started my speech, my first rapport building sentence was, I know, guys, what's going on in your head. And believe me, I'm not like your teacher. I'm not here to bore you. We are going to have a lot of fun today. The moment I said that, the moment they sense that I'm different from the rest of the professors, their bills are up. So that's collective psychology. What people
Mhm.
might be going through. How would you like to be when you were a 21, 22-year-old kid? Would you
Mhm.
like to listen to lectures or would you like to, spend time with your friends? So that's
With
collective
friends.
psychology, right?
Got it.
Understand
Got
that.
it.
Yes.
So it's a combination of observation, like what state their body language is, their facial expression, and from all that, assess their current energy level. That's one thing, and also their profession, like you mentioned. If it's corporates, they might have a certain kind of mindset, and different
Yes.
professions they have different kind of mindset. So that's collective psychology you talked about. So from that, we can assess our audience and then adapt accordingly.
Absolutely. True.
That's very beautiful. Okay. So we talked about language adaptability, also adapting to the body language and the energy level. What about, I think there is another tangent to this. For example, I have seen some people are more data driven, especially like from my background. I'm a science student. So I have dealt
Mm.
with lots of scientists and professors. So they are more data driven. They wants to listen to data and want hard proof. But on the contrary, there are some people who are like artists, who are like dreamers, these kind of personalities. They prefer to more creative kind of delivery. They resonate with that. Maybe some people are also there who prefer empathetic style of speaking.
Yes. True.
So, and I believe in my experience, we kind of need to make a balance between all these three: empathy, the creative approach, and the data. We need a mixture, a balance, perfect ratio of all those in our delivery. But how do we calibrate the exact ratio according to our audience? Can we also assess the same thing from the profession and the overall collective psychology that you talked about?
Yes, we can assess this from the overall collective psychology, their profession, their age, and their profession specifically. Let's say you're talking to data analyst and scientist. So
Mhm.
now it's not about your exact wordings or all the entire content framing,
Mhm.
but even if you're talking about one generic content, like in my example, in fact, our example, let's say we are delivering a talk on public speaking, right? So the way I would explain it to a logical person would be different from the way I explain it to a creative person. For a logical person, the flow can be we can talk about the benefits, we can talk about in what context public speaking is valuable for your presentation. So we can make a quite structured presentation in that sense. When I'm
Right.
teaching public speaking to creative people,
Mhm.
to artists, to singers, then I focus more on games like improv exercises, impromptu
Mm.
games, because they like to laugh, they like to be a part of it. So
Right.
even if you have the same content, So the moment somebody says adaptability, we just start thinking, oh, I need to change my content. No. Even if you have the same content, your style of delivery can change according to the personality type. How would a structured person think versus how would a creative person think? Think about that, and you must know how to make your content as per both. That's how you can create difference.
Yeah, I think that's a very apt thought process in this context. And yes, if we can know, if you can really understand the collective psychology beforehand, before addressing an audience, it can really help. And do you think it will also help us in impromptu situation? So let's say we are attending a networking event and we don't know anything about those person. I just entered a group and now we just got to know briefly about each of those individuals. So I have to instantly switch my style of communication there, right? Based on their introduction.
Yes. So in such situations, and I've been a part of networking platforms, still I'm associated with a networking organization. So I'll tell you, your calibration skills, your observation skills needs to be very appropriate. The moment you walk inside, तो दिख रही है, right? Even if you don't have any other data point, you can clearly see the faces and you can see whether they are married or unmarried. They are in their 20s or 30s, right? So the moment you start speaking, you need to incorporate the essence of that particular collective age group. If it is you're sensing more of married people, you might start with a light-hearted joke about married life, depending upon the context. Or you might just think that they're in 30s, so they might have struggled more in life. So you can talk about career in that context, as compared to when you look at the audience and you see it's youth. So you can start in that context. I'll share another example with you. How calibration and the data points can be taken from the audience. So I walked inside a room in an auditorium. I said, good morning. And the audience reciprocated it with a lot of energy, said, good morning. They echoed my sentiment. Now, that is a good calibration point. That means that the audience right now is enthusiastic. They're paying attention. So magnify that feeling. So you are such a lovely audience. I've never received a good morning acknowledgement like you have given me. I said that, and it builds rapport. If I say good morning, if I get this response from the audience, so now the rapport building, the adaptability would be just like I shared in the earlier example of college, that I know you guys are tired, but trust me, this is going to be interesting, right? So people are giving us a lot of data all the point. It's for us to be silent and absorb it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, we're acknowledging their energy.
Yes.
Now, also acknowledging their current state.
Yes,
So,
yes. I would like to add one thing here, Indranil. In neuro-linguistic programming, since I'm an NLP practitioner, we call this rapport building phenomena, and there are 4 steps to it. First is matching or mirroring. I would say 3 steps: matching or mirroring. That you match the energy being portrayed, or you mirror the physiology, the what the other person is doing. Then second step is pacing them, and third step is leading them. So, for example, you match their energy. That okay, I know you guys are tired. Now, trust me, this is going to be interesting. That's pacing and leading, changing their direction. So, if someone wants to understand it, just keep in mind these 3 steps to start any presentation or speech or adapt to audience: match or mirror, pace, and lead.
Okay. So it's basically like going to their level, then holding their hands, and then bringing them to your side.
Yes. That's a beautiful metaphor for that. Yes.
Yeah, I think this, if you can keep in mind, mirroring, pacing, and leading, that can truly help in every section of our life.
Yes.
Whether it's a personal communication, whether it's a professional communication, this can really help. Like if our boss is in a bad mood someday, I have to first acknowledge his bad mood, maybe, right? Then have to try to bring him to a space where we can have a good conversation, a more productive conversation, so that we don't get shut down by his current temper.
Yes. And when it comes to interpersonal communication in this context, since you mentioned about boss, so let's say you're talking to your boss or to any of your loved ones and you catch them in a bad mood. So instead of, just imposing them, oh, what happened? I'm there for you. Instead of that, the better approach is acknowledge their emotion and ask them, would you like to discuss it? Did I catch you at the wrong time? And depending upon the response you get, you decide whether to pace or lead. Sometimes giving space is equally important.
True. Yeah. Like it should be their choice whether they are okay to open up right at this point.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think we have a fair bit of idea why adaptability is important and what are the cues from which we can assess what's the current communication need of our audience and then how we can adapt. We have the basic idea of that. So if someone wants to practice adaptation more and more, if they want to become more adaptable, what's the best practices for that? Can you share some practices that one can do?
See, for me, if I say that to adopt any skill, as a matter of fact, adaptability in public speaking or communication, it's a skill, right? So, to adapt any skill in life, the best way is to do a lot of pro bono work. That's how
Okay.
I mastered my public speaking. I delivered more than 150 plus speeches inside Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is a non-profit organization. They don't give you money for speaking. And even
Right.
after entering training field, almost for 1 to 1.5 years, I used to do a lot of pro bono sessions. I live in the north side of Delhi. I used to approach people in South Delhi for
Okay.
sessions of communication and public speaking, where I would be traveling to South Delhi without getting any payment, and I'm doing it pro bono, investing it from my pocket. If you want to master the adaptability, find out places where you can speak more. That could be Toastmasters, that could be alliances with non-profit organization. See, they have nothing to lose. You
Right.
also have nothing to lose, but you're going to get one thing, that is experience. And experience is
True.
invaluable. And when you're delivering, do not analyze. That's another mistake public speakers do. They keep analyzing while delivering. So I have this mantra which I give to all my mentees. It says over prepare and go with the flow. So jitni
Okay.
analysis hai, how is the audience, what is their pattern, what could be the collective age group, do it before the session. Do it before you talk. The moment you start speaking, forget everything in the world and then just go with the flow. Just be there. Even if you're having logical thoughts to a creative audience, go with that. Then analyze it after the session. What went wrong? See the recording. When I'm speaking, how are they responding? This is how you would become better at adaptability, better at observation. Got it?
Amazing. So two things. First of all, you shared about find actively more opportunities to talk. It can be NGO, it can be someplace farther away from you. So maybe it's kind of like putting yourself in challenging situation, but at the same time, you are preparing beforehand for that challenging situation.
Yes.
And when you are in that situation, then you're not trying too much or thinking too much. You're just going with the flow. Preparation always before time. So these are two steps that I noticed from what you shared, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So one doubt, I have one doubt. So now we talked about adaptability in communication, how to assess, how to adapt. But is there a possibility that while adapting to different styles, while delivering our speech or delivering our session in a particular way, for example, I am dealing with artists, I'm talking to artists, and they prefer creative style, game playing. But we all have our own styles, right? That we are more comfortable with. For example, I'm a scientist, and for some reason, I have to talk with an artist. Now, my personal style is more of a logical style. My thought process works like that. So while I'm trying to adapt to that creative side of the artist, isn't there a chance of losing authenticity? The speaker could they might feel that this is not really me, why I'm doing this. So how to sort that problem, adaptability versus authenticity?
I would say that's a very good question, Indranil. And this is often a dilemma. People say, oh, you're saying that enough as per the audience, but that's not the natural me. So, my
Right.
first question in that case is, what is natural here? Whenever you're saying that I'm data analyst, I'm a logical person, are you born with that? You adapted
Right.
it as per your family, as per your profession, isn't it? So the way you adapted one personality, now the way to be authentic and yet to be in that moment is ask yourself the way I adapted my one personality, how can I adapt the other side of personality? Take this as a learning opportunity. So you need to condition your mind for that. In NLP, we say that first you need to change your being. There are three stages: being, having, doing. Being is the
Right.
type of person you are, having is the resources you have, and doing is the work which you're doing. So if you're
Right.
trying to, be a different person than what your natural instinct or your trained instinct as a human being says, you first need to adapt the mindset of that particular context. So if it is creative, you will not be able to adapt creatively just by talking to the other person. Your analytical mind would keep coming into picture. But while before talking to such people, if you just go in that creative mindset for some time, let's say you start playing some games which improves your creativity, or you start talking to more such people, watching more such movies which are creative by nature, which are different by nature, now your
Right.
mind would naturally adopt, right? And now you would be more natural, more fluent in that context. Got it?
Yeah, I think you very beautifully articulated this part that we sometimes get rigid in our identity. We sometimes say, okay, I'm a scientist, so that's my only identity, and I cannot go beyond that. I think we are kind of limiting there while we are considering that. And you're asking us to be a more flexible and not just cling to that one professional identity and explore other parts of ourselves.
Yes.
I think that's not just beneficial for our communication, but it also offers an unique opportunity to us for our own growth. Because in a way, we are also challenging ourselves. And so
Yes.
if we have all those different ways of thinking, not just logical thinking, also creative thinking, I think they will also kind of feed one another. So a creative mindset can also somehow help the scientist within me. So it's not just
Absolutely.
right. So because creative mindset is the foundation of out of the box thinking. So we can
True.
leverage that in problem solving at the same time. So
Yes, very true. Yes.
yeah. So yeah, I think that was amazing. This segment, we just have 2 minutes. After that, we'll have a short break and I will join
Okay.
immediately after that. And then
Sure.
we'll resume our conversation. But so far, let me summarize it. We have understood the need, why we need adaptability, how we can assess the cues in our audience to understand their need in communication. Then we can adapt accordingly. Then we'll also understood how to adapt, but at the same time preserve our authenticity, how to reframe our mindset, and then we can be more flexible in adapting in adaptation process. That's we have talked so far. And with that, we'll have a short break and looking forward to continuing this conversation on the other side of the break.
Yes. Same here, Indranil. Looking forward to continue this. Yes.
All right. We talked about two components so far. We talked about adaptability. We talked about authenticity. Now let's bring the third component in it. And I believe this third component is equally important for impactful communication. And that third component is clarity. So I'll just ask you to share your point of view. Like, where do you feel clarity fits in this trio, in this dynamic of authenticity, adaptability, and clarity? Where do you think clarity fits in?
So I would say, in the context of adaptability, the way I would define clarity is more with the clarity of purpose and the clarity of the outcome which you want to achieve. Let's say you're trying to adapt as per a particular context, and your intent is to have sales conversion, that to pitch a product at the end, right?
Right.
Now, when you're adapting as per the audience needs, you also need to somehow program them in the beginning that whatever you're going to talk about is valuable for them. And you need to create a desire in them. In NLP, we call it future pacing. Future
Future
pacing
pacing.
is, so for example, if I'm pitching you a car internal. So one is I explain you the features of this car. So this is the best car, this has this much of mileage and this and that. Now, the moment I would be speaking like this, you would start scratching your head because I would give you too much information.
Right.
Now, future pacing is that I say, imagine internally you're driving this car, and the moment you walk inside, you see your neighbors are looking at you. They're feeling jealous. You sit inside and there is a pride in you. Your shoulders are upright and you're sitting with a lot of pride. Now, the
Right.
moment you give these sensory details, the audience visualizes. So, this I'm giving an example of how would you adapt as per the situation when your goal is to sell. On the other hand, when your goal is to bring transformation, right? So, in that case, you may need to disagree with a lot of things about the audience as well.
Right.
Audience might have a concern that, oh, I'm not growing in my life, मेरे अंदर ये problem है, ये है. You need to keep aside their story. You need to cut them off in between, because only then you would show them the brighter picture and bring that transformation. So adaptability, when you're adapting your language, also keep in mind what is your role and goal. This is how I put it. And then
Role and
adapt
goal.
as per the language, as per the situation and context.
Ah, that's an added layer of consideration while speaking. Like, we have to understand the need of the audience. We have to mirror their current state. At the same time, we have to lead. I think this falls in the leading part,
Yes,
where
yes.
you want to lead them to things in a certain way, imagine certain things about bright future and all. And for that, the leading part is clarity of role and goal, like you said. So
Yes, true.
I think we can say it's intention part, right?
Yes, absolutely. What is your intention here? That needs to be very clear in your mind, and you need to adapt the entire situation as per that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Clarity about the intention is something that leads our conversation. Like, it gives us that pathway that I have to take this conversation to this direction. It's like the compass of our
Yes,
for our conversation.
exactly. Yes.
Amazing. And I believe that there are two more layers to clarity other than clarity of intention. So the second layer of clarity is clarity of thought. So I know, for example, I know what I where I want to lead this conversation to, but then I have to articulate that in a clear, concise manner. And for that, clarity of thought is necessary. So let's talk a little bit about clarity of thought. How can one achieve that, and what are the right practices to achieve clarity of thought?
See, first of all, purely at a psychological level. So I'll answer
Mm.
your question in two parts, at a psychological level, and second, as you said, on the articulation level, right?
Right.
So purely on psychological level, clarity of thought will come when your heart, mind, and body is aligned. We call it congruence. See, for example, let's say somebody is health conscious.
Mhm.
He is health conscious, but at the same time, he's not that health conscious that he can resist for his favorite food. The moment you put his favorite food in front of him, he would eat it. And the moment
Right.
he would eat it, he would have that regret. So, no clarity. But the moment
Ah.
your heart, mind, and body is aligned,
Mm.
your mind also knows that this is wrong. And at the same time, deep within, your heart is also craving to be fit. That's where the clarity is there to avoid that food. And to bring that
Mm.
clarity, you might need to research more at time if it is mind to be convinced. If it is
Mhm.
heart which needs to be convinced, you might need to visualize. In NLP,
The
we call
future.
it modalities, submodalities. That every
Okay.
situation has some fine distinctions in our mind. For example, if it is food, so we
Mhm.
might be attracted towards the taste of it. We might be attracted towards the way it looks. So you need to visualize that I'm eating it and it suddenly makes me obese. It suddenly leads to diseases. That's how your
Ah.
heart will be convinced now, right? So that's how
Yeah.
the clarity of thought will come. And the moment the clarity of thought will come, the congruence will come. Now you would speak from your entire body. Now there would be a lot of passion in your speaking. Otherwise, you would always be in that thinking mode, right? So that is at the
Mm.
psychological level, how to get clarity. Second, at the
Got it.
articulation level, there are many speech frameworks. If you
Mhm.
Google or
Mhm.
simply on ChatGPT, go and type, suggest me 50 speech frameworks, it would suggest you.
Mhm.
Like one popular framework I'll just give as a reference, it's called Oreo technique and
Audio
public
technique.
speaking and communication. You might have heard about Oreo is, let's say if I'm speaking on public speaking, I
Mhm.
can speak a lot, but I need to ensure that I articulate it within a minute or two, correct?
Right.
So Oreo would be, first I would state my opinion. I would say in my opinion, public speaking is very important. Then I would give a reason. I say so because many executives, top directors, even the VPs learn public speaking. Then
Right.
I would give an example. Let me give you an example. One of my clients in Confident Orators Hub, he is the PhD holder, retired banker, and vice president of NAB. So if people of
Mm.
that stature learn public speaking, what stops you? Now, example, and now I would reinstate the opinion, and that is the reason I said in the beginning, and I'm saying it again, public speaking is important. So for articulation, my friend, we need to understand that it's like building a building or
Mm.
constructing a building, I should rather say. So when we're constructing a building, we need a strong foundation. So for any
Right.
argument to stay, reason and example are the strong foundation. So that's why Oreo.
Mm.
Opinion,
Audio.
reason, example, Oreo. State it like this, and you would convey a lot of complicated things in a simple manner. Similarly, you Google, you'll find 50 such speech frameworks. That's how you
Right.
can articulate them.
Mm.
I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we both being in the field of communication coaching, we deal with different frameworks for different scenarios. And yes, Oreo is a very famous one. And there is, I think there is a similar term which is called PrEP framework.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
also the same thing. Same thing is just like abbreviation is different.
Yes,
So yeah,
correct.
definitely we do use that in various scenarios for impromptu speaking as well. And it's really helpful to articulate clearly. All right. So that's clarity of thought we have achieved. At the psychological level, we have achieved first we have to achieve congruence, and then we have to articulate it in a precise, concise manner. We have to take the help of frameworks.
Yes.
Now, I think one more level of clarity is at the level of our tongue. So that means what I'm referring to emphasis and pronunciation. Like I have encountered various students who struggle with mother tongue influence. Sometimes they have a specific kind of pronunciation bias, I would say, which makes their message not so effective, although they have amazing clarity in thought process. So how can they improve their articulation, their pronunciation, so that the beautiful, brilliant message they have in their temple, they can deliver that, convey to the audience?
Yes, thank you, Indranil. And this is again a very relevant question, I would say. So, first of all, since we're talking about adaptability, so let's understand mother tongue influence in that case. Mother tongue influences when you have a particular accent and you feel, and the world says that this is not the appropriate way to pronounce that word in which you're pronouncing it in your mother tongue. So,
Right.
that we call it mother tongue influence, and that you're not pronouncing it appropriately, which is needed as per situation. Now, when we refer it for the adaptability context, first you need to understand that whether you actually need to change your mother tongue influence or is it helping you. It can help you, you know that. Because
Mm.
let's say you're talking to someone who is from UP, right?
Right.
Or who is from any small town who
Mm.
has a particular accent. Now, what
Right.
would they connect better? Would they connect with someone who would be very sophisticated and speak Britishers English? Hi, good morning. Today I'm here to talk about. Or would they connect with someone whom they think is like them,
Yes.
who
That
speaks their
likability
accent,
factor. True.
right? Likability factor. So when you're talking to your local crowd, your regional crowd, you may not work on your mother tongue influence. That could be at your favor. Understand that.
Mm.
Many
Mm.
people ignore this factor. And at the same time, if you want to work upon it, you
Mm.
want to pronounce correctly, you want to go global, international, you want people from different domains to recognize you as a thought leader, then the
Mm.
best way is to listen more. So our mind at a very unconscious level adapts the neurological and speaking pattern of the people we build rapport with. So how
Mm.
do we learn any language? So for example, in India, let's say if we are from North India,
Mhm.
many people have Hindi as their first language. How do they
Right.
learn that? Do we learn it consciously? Like, what's your
Mm.
mother tongue, Indranil?
Mine is Bengali.
Bengali. So, how did you learn Bengali? Did you learn it from school? Consciously learning about the grammar rules and all?
No, not at all. By
Not at all.
listening to friends and family,
Yes.
parents.
So, when you came to the world, you were like a blank slate, and we all were like a blank state.
Mhm.
Nothing was written over us. Then we'll listen to people whom we trusted, whom we build rapport with. That could be a friends, a family members dominantly. And then when we grow as a teenager, that could be our role models, people whom we admire with. So we get our language pattern with these three type of people. And the moment you feel you need to change your fluency, you need to become more fluent, you need to become more articulated, first thing
Mm.
you need to do is to change this environment.
Mm.
Spend more time with people whom you think are better in articulation. And in today's world, it's very easy to find. You go on YouTube and any speaker you like, just start listening to them for 30 minutes on daily basis. And you would start seeing a remarkable difference in your speaking as well. Because your mind would now start adopting their patterns. And then you can consciously practice that as well. We call it shadowing technique.
Mm.
Shadowing
Okay.
is, let's say you play any video, let's say like in sessions of confident orators, now I play the video of Harsha Bhogle, famous cricket
Okay.
commentator.
Yep.
So we play that video, we keep pausing that in between, and we say, see, he took a pause here. And
Mm.
then we emulate that. We match his speaking patterns, his speaking pace, his pronunciation clarity. So that's
Mm.
another way. And third, I
Mm.
would say for bringing that clarity in articulation would be some exercises which I designed for clarity. So one of the best exercise for that is tongue twister.
Mm.
Make a list from ChatGPT about different type of tongue twisters.
Mm.
Some tongue twisters would have vowels which would be twisted. Some would have consonants
Mm.
where it's getting repeated. So make a list, and the moment you fumble or mumble,
Mm.
have a pencil, like I have this pen with me, place it in your mouth, and then speak that.
Right.
That brings clarity in your tongue, right? So work on these three tangents: unconsciously aligning yourself, consciously practicing, and then
Mm.
these exercises. And then your clarity would, expandate. And you would become very articulated, very clear with your words.
Those are some amazing advices, Shant. Thanks for that. And yeah, I think with right practices, I think you beautifully talked about environment. First thing you talked about is environment. We really want to change our articulation, then we have to change our environment and have to mingle with people, or at least listen to those kind of audios who have our desired kind of articulation. So that can be the first step to changing subconsciously our current way of speaking. And after
Yes.
that, you also talked about all those exercises like tongue twisters and then speaking with a straw, with a pencil in between your lips. Those are amazing things, and I think our audience can learn from this. They can, with practice, with consistency, they can achieve better clarity, better articulation, both at oral level and also at mental level.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, thanks for that. And I absolutely love that point how you incorporated adaptability within clarity. Like in different states, your current mother tongue influence can be your strength. So that's again adaptability. Not one accent is superior than another. We have to adapt it according to the audience. So that's just another level of adaptability. I love that. All right. So
Thank you.
I think I think we have covered all three tangents. We talked about authenticity, adaptability, and clarity. And we have understood the dynamics between them. And now I think it's time for a Q&A. I can see there is a Chuta in the audience. If you have any question, it's the time to ask that to Sushant.
Yeah, hello Indranil, good morning. Hello Sushant, good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Achita.
Yeah, it was a nice podcast that I enjoyed really. I'm a communication coach, so before getting into, let me introduce myself. I'm a communication coach, and I joined the podcast to understand what other nuances can I learn from this, because I believe learning exists everywhere. And yes, that's the biggest takeaway for me from today's session is, like you said, Sushant, I keep hearing this. I'm from Vishakhapatnam. So people say that, we have this down south influence when I speak. Though I speak very fluently, I don't pause, I don't have to fumble, mumble anything. Yet I get this point that your accent is different, though it sounds good, you have a different accent. So the though is there, but still that doesn't stop me anywhere. It did
Yes.
not cause me a problem. So that is what I really loved. That's the biggest takeaway. I'm in fact happy to hear this today. And the second point is, I have been hearing, like, I too project this, but I've been doing it in a completely different way. But the point that you said, that mind, heart, and body should align, and that is where we lead. So I think I should start using this line in my sessions going forward. So that's another point that I'm carrying today. So thank you so much for that. So this
My
is what
pleasure, Achita. So happy that I added value.
it's a privilege attending this really.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to stay in touch, whether it's with you or with Indranil. I would love to stay in touch either on LinkedIn, so that we can exchange our thoughts, keep sharing what we are doing, so that we can keep growing together. I hope that wouldn't be a problem.
For sure. I would love to
Thank you.
connect with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Achuta. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And of course, we'll share the links. Like that's the next segment. I would like to ask Sushant to share a few, let's say, a few ways to come to connect with you. If the audience wants to connect with you, where they can connect with you, LinkedIn and other social media platforms. You can share that.
Yes. So you can find me everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So depending upon what you prefer, except Twitter, I feel I'm on majority of the social media platforms. And on YouTube, you can see some wonderful videos talking about communication and public speaking. So far, I've uploaded more than 400 videos on YouTube. So
Wow.
that in itself is a knowledge bank you can access. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm sure, Sushant, if you share those links with me later on. So when uploading this video, we'll also share those links along with the video so that everyone else who watches that post, they can also access those links and connect with you.
For sure. I'll share
And
that.
yes, so and now if you want to share anything about your work, any any books or any if you want to share about your orators hub, you can also touch upon that. We'll be interested in listen more about that.
Thank you, Indranil, for this opportunity. So, I'm the founder of Confident Orators Hub, and as the name suggests, it's a hub. It's not just a course because I believe that communication and public speaking is a skill, and you adopt the skill with continuous practice. That's why Confident Orators Hub not just offers you a course, but a complete ecosystem where you join with a one time membership. Yes, only one time membership, and you access 9 such benefits, which makes us completely different from the entire India. One, You access 7 recorded courses on 3 tangents of communication, including confidence, clarity, and ability to connect. So, whatever we discussed today, that is in the realm of ability to connect. Similarly, we have courses on clarity, we have courses on confidence. So, that's complete knowledge system. Then we run an event called Speakathon. Speakathon is a 10 to 12 session series where we brainstorm on various topics. And at the end of Speakathon, we have a speech contest every quarter. Then we have one meeting in a week, which we call as speech gym. Now, speed gym is pretty much like going to the gym, lifting dumbbells, and doing exercise. In speed gym, we start with some vocal exercises, then we move towards some mental exercises, and members deliver a speech and they get feedback from me and all other members. That's speed gym. Then, one meeting in a week we call it inner circle call. Inner circle call is we talk to members just like we connect with the tribe, and any questions they might have, any concerns they might have, we adopt to that, we address that. That's inner circle call. And we also have some video speeches within communities, because today communication is not only about speaking in public or forums. We need to deliver our messages to the wider audience in front of a camera as well. So we have specifically designed some video speeches assignments as well. And the best part, all these benefits and many other are accessible to the members at just one-time membership fees. And the access would be lifetime now. So that's Confident Orators Hub. We had our humble beginnings 3 months back, and by now we have grown to 24 members and still growing. So that's about it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Sushant, for sharing about that amazing community that is Orators Hub. I'm sure the audience, they will be interested and they will contact with you. And let me finish this beautiful candid discussions of today by summarizing the things. So we talked about 3 tangents of impactful communication, that is adaptability, in authenticity, and clarity. And with the help of yours, we understood that we don't need to lose on adaptability. We don't need to lose on authenticity and clarity while adapting to the needs of our audience. We can still deliver our authentic, clear thought process, and can also lead the audience with clear intention while adapting to their needs. So thank you for that. And I believe, I think I can think about one parallel. So this is Navaratri going on. And in Navaratri, there are 9 forms of Durga, Navadurga. So I believe that these Navadurga is nothing but an evolution of the feminine power. A slightly different version of feminine power. We appreciate and worship that power on each of these 9 days throughout Navaratri. And if we can think about communication and our relationships in energy form, I think it's pretty evident that we are capable of transforming and evolving from one communication style to another. Like you mentioned, we don't have to cling to one particular identity and make that our sole communication style. We have that capability of adapting, just like Navadurga. And as we celebrate Navaratri, I think we have to embrace that capacity within us to be able to evolve, to be a dynamic communicator with adaptability, clarity, and authenticity. So,
yes. That's a beautiful analogy, I would say, Indranil. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, for enriching us with your knowledge. We learned a lot. And with that, I would like to conclude today's episode of ProImpact.
Thank you for inviting me, Indranil. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I must say, the way you articulated your questions, that were quite thoughtful. And you're a very good listener because you draw questions from what I was speaking in that moment. So thank you for the invite. It was a wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you so much, Sushant. I loved it thoroughly.
Thank you.